to the 40k Fireside podcast, where we discuss everything to do with competitive Warhammer 40k with your hosts Vic VJ and David Gaylord.
Live. Hey there everyone, and welcome back. We are here covering the London Grand Tournament. The tournament, obviously, both Vic and I will be attending. And it's the largest singles event in Warhammer history, I think, with 1,092 players, I think, which is larger than LVO by 40 players, I think. So,
Dave, I have been waiting years and years for this to be the case, because it's always been LVO's the biggest tournament. LVO's the biggest tournament. I've always felt that LGT, was the better tournament out of the two, and I'm really glad to see LGT kind of take that trophy, because I would love to see more and more international people come to the LGT, and this year we're definitely seeing that. So I think it's only onwards and upwards from here.
Yeah, so congratulations to Zach and the crew at UKTC. I mean, their business has exploded, really. I think they have 20 calendar events or something like that. Like, it's massive. I think they're branching into other game systems. So it's good to see LGT still flourish, and it's obviously really cool to have my home city of London be the kind of crown jewel for 40k singles in terms of player count. I do think there are some Spanish tournaments like Talavera or something like that for the team side that have 1,200 players or something. So I think that's technically the largest tournament. Maybe someone correct me down below in the comments. But yeah, we're loving LGT. We're both really excited to play. Vic and I are both going to be doing deep dives on our list as well. So that'll be good fun. And we've got some interesting takeaways for you. And we've also got the kind of meta breakdown. So yeah, why don't we jump into it? It'll be interesting to see kind of what our thoughts were previously kind of going into it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Thank you, everyone, for the support you gave us on the Fireside tier list. We've obviously, tried to step up our quality and everything. So we were really happy to see the level of engagement we got in that. And I think a lot of what we talked about there, Dave, is going to translate into this video when we see the meta breakdown and things.
That's still fresh in my mind. And I saw the top represented army, and I thought that's exactly what I thought would be the top. So I'm glad to see it. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So we've got total number of players actually playing is 1,056, and I think there are some that didn't set their faction. For once, Vic, this wasn't me. I'm just putting it out there. I nailed it this time.
Did you? Nice.
So I think there was 30 something players that didn't have a list submitted. So yeah, it's close to 1,100 players basically.
Sure.
But Vic, what was your honest take on what you thought the most popular army was going to be coming into the event?
I thought it was going to be. Definitely not what it was. I thought we were going to see a lot of some Space Marines. I think that was probably the safest bet.
Yeah.
And I thought it would have been by a significant amount, actually.
Okay.
But then, thinking about it, really, it's... See, Space Marines, does that include Black Templars in this?
Well, it depends on how you go about it. I mean, I think... if you take the aggregate of Space Marines, it's about 21.5%. So, I mean, obviously, if you do the aggregate, then you could basically always pick Space Marines. So I think it's a little bit more interesting if you don't aggregate them together personally.
And that's probably why Space Marines shouldn't probably not be the most popular one, because I think there are a lot of Space Force players, lots of Black Templars players, lots of Blood Angels players, and there's going to be some of these Raven Guard players, which I guess come into the Astartes banner.
Yeah, exactly.
But that army's really new. That new Raven Guard, 8th and Stan or something, is super, super new. So a lot of people don't have the hobby in. So actually, Space Marines is a bad pick here. But I certainly would not have picked World Eaters as the most popular.
Yeah, I had a feeling, actually, because I remember when I was doing my list submission, I was like, well, what should I kind of go with? And I was actually debating whether or not I was going to play Raven Guard or if I was going to play Gladius, Black Templars. And... a bit a legitimately big turning point in my head was I feel like personally, the army strength at the moment is so close together that the most determining factor is just going to be how comfortable you are in your army. And in addition to that, I thought World Eaters was going to be the most popular going into the event. They just got buffed. I think World Eaters are a very popular army to play. People love to play them. And historically, when World Eaters have been good, they've also been very popular in terms of total player count. So I thought there was going to be a big resurgence. And recently, we've had a bunch of new archetypes come to light in World Eaters, which I think a lot of people were excited to go and play. I think once people started seeing how other players were doing really well with them, they kind of, okay, I'm going to try that list, and then had a lot of success. So I saw World Eaters coming in hot, and I thought that was going to be the most popular one. So I was glad that I went with the Black Templars Gladius, because I was a little bit worried about playing a lot of World Eaters, and then all of a sudden, with my Raven Guard list, just kind of getting mowed down on turn 1.
Dave, I would agree with you on the World Eaters thing. I think it's a little bit like Custodies. When they're popular, they're popular.
Yep.
World Eaters look really, really cool. They're a little bit of a mono kind of army, one-dimensional army. So they're fun. They're exciting to play. And when people get a chance to play them competitively, they do. I was really interested to look through it a little bit at some of the lists and see that, people were really interested in trying out the new Exalted 8-pound
Yes.
with their extra point of damage and the really nice points drops that World Eaters got.
Yeah. Exalted 8-pound were very popular, actually. That was quite surprising. And I think maybe that's a big contributing factor. So people didn't want to play necessarily their 50-plus Berserk list. They were waiting, and actually the Exalted 8-pound change and the 8-pound change was something where they could finally go, okay, cool, I've got this basically the entire army already done. And, Vic and Dave just said World Eaters is one of the best armies in the game on the tier list. So, I'm going to slam pick World Eaters.
I mean, I've been talking on the Eldar Discord. Okay, guys, our Discord, as always, really great Discord. Awesome. Awesome guys. And we're having a lot of discussion on the Eldari side of it about the bad matchups and the good matchups. And I have had to say about 10 times now that Eldar have a bad matchup into 60-plus Berserkers. But every time I say it, about 10 minutes later, someone's like, actually, you know what? I think World Eaters is fine for Eldar. And I have to repeat, only the 60-plus Berserker build. I actually think, the Exalted 8-pound and the Forge Fiends and all the kind of combined arms build is a really cool, balanced, fun list to play that has some counters, but is overall quite a strong army. Whereas the skew, when you get loads and loads of Berserkers, some armies just can't deal with that. Eldar definitely being one of them, and I think a lot of other armies can't. But
I just sorry to butt in. I think Forge Fiends were bad, personally. I certainly would not be playing them after the points update. Just my take. I don't think it matters what terrain format you're playing.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of stuff for the price of a Forge Fiend. Like 2 Forge Fiends, you could get basically 3 units of 3 Exalted 8-pound.
Sure.
Which is, a lot of stuff in my opinion.
So in your opinion, just full-on melee pressure, it doesn't matter if you do that via 8-pound or you do that via Berserkers, just give up on the shooting side of things. That's a good take. I think a lot of World Eaters players should take heed of that one.
So then we had, if we exclude Space Marines, let's go to Eldari, second most popular.
Yeah,
that's pretty surprising, right?
Oh, I actually wasn't expecting it. I think this is one of those ones where, obviously Eldar are really strong. They're really, really strong. And I think they're going to come out of the gates absolutely punching so hard. And I think they will do really well at LGT. But I am a little surprised by that. I know Eldar is really, really popular, but I would imagine that when people are practicing playing with their Eldari, they are hitting some bad matchups, losing some games. And, I thought maybe that would put people off from going for them, but it obviously hasn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, the background noise is that Eldar are in a really, really good place. We know the UK competitive scene loves to jump onto the strongest thing. We've seen players like Manny, Chima, Ed Watts, both playing Eldari lists here. These are people who will jump to what they feel is the strongest faction. And, that's a good indication that a lot of people are kind of meta chasing through Eldari, expecting them to be really strong. And I think they will do really well at this event. What do you think, Dave?
I was going to ask the question, when was the last time we saw Eldari have one of the highest faction representations in a tournament? It's been a long time. I feel like that's almost never happens because it's a little bit more of a, typically in my head, it's a bit more of a niche faction, so to speak, right? Like it's not a lot of factions where people will jump to and pick up and play. Obviously, we had Wraith Knights, but once again, that's might as well be a completely different army compared to what we're talking about now with Eldari. So
I would disagree with you on that, actually.
Okay.
I think Eldari have always been, even when they're not strong, a top half representation army.
Okay.
They're not the most niche thing. They are the space elves. Elves are popular in any kind of game. And I think we've had multiple times where they've just creeped back up a little bit. We didn't just have the Wraith Knights, we then had the 10 Wraith Guard, we then had the Night Spinners.
Yep.
We then had that little bit where people were running an Avatar and a Wraith Knight together, where they
Mm-hmm.
got a little more popular. Obviously, this is towards the top end, where they are one of the most popular armies in the game, which is really telling. I think that Eldar are in a good place, both for the players in terms of them wanting to do well, but also probably enjoying using the list a little bit as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think also, notably as well, is the distribution is a lot flatter there as well, right? So it's not like a top 3 represented faction when everything else has like 2%, for example, right? We're very flat here. So whilst it is, arguably the second, if we're not counting, Adeptus Astartes, it is that's still in line with actually quite a few armies, and notably Blood Angels in third place, which I thought was very surprising. I mean, thank God I'm playing Black Templars Gladius with Fight on Death, because number 1, World Eaters, number 3, Blood Angels. I mean, that's a lot of combat right there, in my opinion, and that's a lot of fast combat, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the distribution of archetypes across the top, having World Eaters and Blood Angels both being very mono combat armies is really interesting. I think that will skew the meta significantly. But then actually, there's such a distribution of archetypes when you look around that.
Yeah.
We've got shooting, we've got mixed arms, we've got really fast, fragile, and then we've got both the Knight factions coming in as 8% of the tournament. So,
so if you think about the Knight archetype, that's actually the most popular archetype of everyone, right? If you combine Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights, that's 8%. So that's a huge number. How does this line up? I'm really curious. How does this top meta faction distribution line up as an Eldari player? Because I would have thought, Space Marines is a good matchup, but some of that will be Blood Angels as well. World Eaters and Blood Angels, are those easy matchups, or is that a lot of contention on the board?
I mean, Eldar are good because I think the armies that people are taking at the moment are very, very balanced. You can take one tool that's good against melee, one tool that's good against lots of vehicles. So you can build a list that has some play into a varied type of meta. There are some weaknesses that Eldar have. They can't kill lots and lots of models on the board. And, I think they might suffer a little bit with that, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it could have been. There are some hard counters. Some of these World Eater lists are going to be hard counters. Some of the Raven Guard lists in Space Marine Astartes are going to be hard counters as well, which are unfortunately the top 2 in that list. But like Blood Angels, it's fine. It's a really 50-50 game. World Eaters, which isn't loads of Berserkers, really, really 50-50 game.
Cool.
I think the great thing is here, because we have so many archetypes distributed across the top half, I think it's just going to be the better player who wins. I think it's not going to be as much you get counted because your list is better than your opponents. It's going to be a lot more, I'm better than you. I played the game better than you, so I won the game.
Yeah, agreed. And like, since I'm playing Black Templars, I don't think the Eldari matchup is like 30-70. It seems more like 60-40. You know what I mean? Like, there is lots of play there, and if the Eldari player makes a mistake, it's going to be a lot more impactful than if I make a mistake, for example. That's kind of the way I feel about it. It is an uphill matchup, but there are only certain players in the hall that will probably be on Eldari that can play it with making 0 mistakes. But then they also have to dodge the Raven Guard players, so I'm hoping all the World Eaters players can beat the Eldari players by jamming them and going first, and then I can beat the World Eaters players.
my take on this is, like, I agree with you. It's not like 80-20, 70-30 advantage to an Eldar player versus any kind of Marine archetypes. There certainly is a little advantage, but it's nothing that can't be overcome with skill, and it's certainly nothing that the dice can't overcome as well. It only takes little fluctuations in luck for you to get through those games, which are not beyond the realms of possibility. And I think that makes it really exciting. That means that no matter what matchup you get, you don't have to give up. Even if it's a little bit uphill, you can play through that game because you have a good chance of winning if you play it well.
Why don't we talk about some of the lower factions? Because I think that's really interesting as well here. One that really surprised me was only 24 AdMech players. And I will say that this faction, I think, will be the dark horse in terms of the lowest player count for how represented it will be in the X and 1 bracket, I think. And a large part of that is, of course, because AdMech is extremely expensive to buy into. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. Like, it is by far one of the most expensive factions, and you're talking Ruststalkers, Infiltrators, Chickens, which are very, very expensive. I think they're like 35 pounds of chickens.
They're crazy, yeah.
So I was surprised that Admech wasn't there. Disappointed that Malik Armin Rubio, our former teammate, didn't come and play them as well. I thought that would have been so cool. We've got a couple of people from our old team Dice Down that are playing as well. So shout out to Conrad and Clement as well. But you know, I think Eldari Admech a little bit underrepresented for how strong they are potentially here as well. But then we've also got, I think, Emperor's Children, which are, you know, only 2.5% of the meta there as well, kind of at the bottom there, Vic. What do you think is going on there?
So Emperor's Children really fascinates me because I often think about Emperor's Children in a very similar light to World Eaters and Blood Angels. But for some reason, I think it's probably the red and gold. It's genuinely the color scheme being red and gold is something which attracts people to play it more than Emperor's Children. So more people collect those armies, but they're very, very similar archetype. And I would argue that Emperor's Children is maybe the stronger one out of the three.
I mean, especially when we see Eldari is the second most popular faction here as well, right?
It's so easy to collect, so easy to paint. The list is already solved, 99% of it. And it's super fun to play, just unbelievably fun to just run at people. And it just works. So to see their representation really low is really fascinating to me. And I can't really fully explain it, to be honest, except for color scheme.
I think some people maybe get worried about the long range shooting on UKTC. Potentially something there as well. I mean, a couple of interesting ones, of course, is Black Templars, 3.6% of the meta now, which is, I mean, great to see, I think. You know, there'll be a little bit more of that because of Adeptus Society's kind of umbrella there. They should really get rid of that, I think, and just put the initial factions at this point. But, you know, previously, Black Templars haven't even been around in tournaments, so it's great to see that codex come in, be at the right power level, I think, and competing as well there. So I think they did a good job with that in terms of the power level, because it's just Gladius, basically. But the detachments could be a little bit stronger, I think. Gladius come down a bit. Then we've also got, you know, Imperial Guard coming in at 3.7. That's a lot lower than it historically has been.
Oh, really?
You know?
I thought that actually looked pretty high, pretty favorable.
Oh, no, I remember, you know, if you think about the past year and a half of UKTC tournaments, Astromel Tamar Guard was sometimes number one in terms of factions played, and it was typically in like the top 3, for example, right?
Sure.
I think at the last LGT it would have been up there as well. Someone, if you know the stats below, comment what it was last year, because that's kind of a year to year of guard changes there as well. But a lot of people jumping off that, you know, not wanting to play it. I know, you know, Nassim is playing Raven Guard as well, and Nassim and I both feel the same way about Guard. It's very boring at the moment. It's, you know, Space Marines get like, it feels like a new release every single day almost. So I think, you know, changing up. And, you know, last but not least, I think one of the really interesting ones here, Vic, is Tau Empire. That is
Tau's pretty high
up there, right? You know, we just had Riptides come back in, and I wonder what's going on with that, because I don't think Tau's historically been like a very popular faction.
Oh, dude, you would be surprised. In the competitive scene, I think a lot of players have Tau. It's Marmite, but as a proportion, I think competitive players lean towards Tau a little bit more than the casual players. But obviously, the aesthetic for some people, that's really, really cool to see.
Super
the
unique.
lore, everything. They're so cool. And, you know, I mean, I have a Tau army. I love my Tau army when I get a chance to use it. So this would have been a great chance for me to actually get that out, because I love a triple Riptide, always.
Ooh, spicy. And we're going to have Lewis on tomorrow talking about his Tau teammate Lewis Smith with the Tiger Shark there as well. And I think the Tau buffs were pretty significant, to be honest with you. The Riptide buff means that your anti-tank is now kind of solved, so to speak. And they're just a bit of anti-everything, that platform. So, yeah, I mean, that's the overall meta. I mean, it's looking very healthy. You know, Deathwatch is 9 players. Okay.
Dude,
you know.
People are telling you Deathwatch are really, really good. You've definitely got it wrong.
Yeah, I'm definitely off on that.
You got it wrong.
Yeah. And, you know, we've got some other things like Chaos Space Marines at 3.7%.
Mm-hmm.
And I think overall, if you look at all the Marines, it's like
Mm-hmm.
over 21%, 21.5%. So it'll be interesting to see how those Marine builds shake out. You
For
know,
sure.
Dark Angel's pretty popular as well, and I'm assuming a lot of those are going to be Deathwing Knight builds.
Well,
So
I find it funny that Dark Angels and Custodies are right next to each other,
yeah,
the two most boring armies, next to Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights. Again, not real armies. It's kind of
yeah.
that's a little bit of chaos in the middle. But then I found it really interesting where T Sons and Sisters are sitting.
Mm,
T Sons are still represented to an extent here. People haven't
it's
dropped off the army.
still higher than Space Wolves,
Yeah,
notably.
people are
Yeah,
holding on to it. They're going to keep trying it. I
mm,
think the nerfs were pretty severe.
yeah.
And Sisters looking solid. That's a good number. These are armies where I think the enthusiasts are stuck on them.
Mm,
And the people who tend to play them tend to just stay on those armies. So,
mm.
yeah, I think the Sisters players will do really, really well at this tournament. I'm really interested to see
Hell
how they
yeah.
get on.
Cool. Why don't we go through some lists? We've pulled
Yeah.
out basically 5 really interesting ones that we wanted to look at. And of course, we would have to talk about the reigning champ, the 2 times back-to-backer, and maybe the back-to-back-to-back-to-back, whatever
Not
it is.
3 in a row,
And
surely.
I think they're all veterans along as well, which is
Yeah.
just super spicy. Well, because I guess veterans wasn't the index at the time. Is veterans the remake of the index?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is,
So it
right?
was when I played Liam in the semifinals, I think,
Mm,
or something. It was veterans. It was the index,
yes.
and yeah, it was pretty much. It looked like this list.
Yeah. So, yeah, Chaos Space Marines. I mean, I have played against Liam on this exact build right here. It's Cypher, Bile, and 10 Chosen. Every single list that Liam has is Bile and 10 Chosen. Lord and 5 Legionaries, 10 Cultists, 5 Nemesis Claws for the multi-charge and blocking the interrupt in the combat matchup. Then we've got 5 Noise Marines that'll jump inside the second Rhino. And we've got 2x2 Blitz. This is a huge part for why you want to play Veterans of the Long War. 10 Warp Talons, which Liam has been playing a bit of recently, actually. And I guess he's stuck with it. He kind of likes that matchup. And 3 Bikes and 2 Predators. So this is the very similar to Black Templar's Gladius. It is a take-all-comers list. Doesn't really have a strong weak point. His has got a bit more dynamic and a bit more shooting to it.
Dude,
and there's no clear weakness.
I can't understand this list.
What?
Look, just read what's on the screen and imagine the models on a table.
But
He just literally has nothing in this army.
No. But everything does a bit more damage than you think, for example, right?
Everything does something, but it's like it doesn't make sense to me. I can't understand it.
Well, like you shoot 3 bikes, they're going to melt in a plasma, then you then grenade with something else, you shoot 3 bolt pistols, and then their rhino's dead, so then your lord and 5 legionaries can charge. It's kind of like that. I mean,
You've just got to get it perfect.
Yeah,
You've got to get it perfect. And I always wonder, if Liam played something really good here, would we just all we shouldn't even turn up? But I think this is good. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the level of skill needed to play this correctly and get all the pieces to come together is insane. It's like he's playing with a little handicap, just to give us all a little bit of a chance.
The one thing that I think about this list, it can be quite vulnerable to, is the output of the Oblitz on the turn that you bring them down. And obviously Oblitz is going to be pretty good in this meta. I mean, World Eaters are number 1, Eldari number 2, Blood Angels after that. I mean, Obliterators are good in all these matchups, as far as I'm concerned. AP1 ignore cover, damage 2 indirect with rerolls. Very good there. But they can be pretty swingy on the turn that they come down. So, how this would do into a Knight build, for example, I think that would be one of the weak-ish points. I'm not sure how Knights perform on UKTC, but obviously Liam has the player skill advantage on basically everyone. So yeah, it doesn't have a clear weakness in my opinion, and I mean it's no surprise to see Liam on this again. It's a hard list to push in and beat, I think, because it's got a very good castle on it as well. It can suffer in the long range shooting matchups, I think, and that's one of the areas that it can really maybe struggle in.
So I was walking back with Liam after one of our ETC days, and I was like, Liam, you know what? What are you going to take to LGT? He said, I'm going to take Chaos Space Marines, Vic. And I asked him, do you not feel there's anything else stronger in singles for UKTC? And he said, no, but I want to create the story. Like he wants the story 3 times in a row with Chaos Space Marine. So fair play to him. He's a legend of the game, isn't he?
Absolute legend, the Belgian giant, and our proud teammate as well. We saw him. I mean, he was playing basically this at ETC as well. Recently,
He was.
Yeah. So that's the reigning champ. As all due respect, got to go to him first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Space Marines. I mean, this is a bit of an interesting one. I guess this will be right up my alley, so to speak, at the moment. Like I said,
is Innis bringing Stormlance? That's
Yes.
very interesting. This is what Josh Roberts has been having so much success with, right?
it's got a little bit of a twist in there. So this is Innes actually said this on a Stat Check episode a little while ago. He said after the Balanced Data Slate, their episode, he said the Space Marines, the Ultramarines Stormlance build has almost not changed. It went up only 40 points, and he said that he thought that was one of the best lists in the game. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. When I heard it, I didn't think about that in the same way, but obviously he's gone with it here. Now he's got Calgar and Bobby G and the Combi Lieutenant. So the standard, trio of characters, I would say here. Bobby G and Calgar still are fantastic. Like, don't get me wrong, I still think Ultramarines are very, very good. 5 Intercessors and 5 Incursors. So 5 Intercessors on the home field, 5 Incursors to probably scout move, but also are going to help trigger your +1 to hit. And he's got a lot of platforms here that hit on 3s with 2 Oaths. So he doesn't have a Ballistus Dreadnought anymore, and that's going to mean that he's going to want +1 to hit on at least one target on a turn, which he's going to drop down and go. Next up, 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Now, these guys have just come down in points, and they are... I don't know if you can look it up, Vic, but are they 185?
Dude, I don't know. Let me find out for you while
I think
you
they're
talk.
185, and I think they've got the Macro Plasma and the Fist both at flat 3.
Okay.
Now, they are -1 damage with a 2-up save and Armor of Contempt most likely. And if you think about the meta, that is good into a couple of things. One of them would be maybe Plasma Inceptors. It's pretty good against the Raven Guard matchup. I could see this list being okay there. It's good into Black Templars. That profile is good into Sword Brethren, for example.
Yep.
And maybe that's good into World Eaters, although I'm not 100% sure on that. But boy, it's fucking terrible into Eldari, that's for sure. But he can make that up a little bit. He's got Storm Raven and 2 Hammer Strikes here. Now, Hammer Strikes are not incredible into Eldari either, but the Storm Raven is pretty good. And he's obviously playing Stormlance, so the Storm Raven can get -1 to hit and wound here. So there is a slight shadow nerf to this playstyle, which is that you cannot Armor of Contempt and -1 to hit and wound the Storm Raven when someone shoots it. Which, actually, typically speaking, you would want to do quite often in this list because of the UKTC ruling of no two triggers at the same time. Okay. And, if your opponent has like a Riptide, or it's got, I don't know, Fuegan or something like that, I mean, you have to drive it. So, I mean, they can usually get that in range. Or maybe a Repulsive Executioner. You can't use both of those at the same time, which means that they can pull it out of the sky. But this list is trying to kill you. It's trying to go aggressive. If you look at the total number of units, it's not particularly high, right? And,
No.
Storm Raven, 3 Redemptors is 4 units. Bobby G and Calgar is 6 units, which comprise probably about 1,700 points of your list. So it's going to try and hit you hard. But if you don't have the damage output, then you are just probably going to die to this, I think. And it does buy a lot of space. You can obviously drop the Redemptor out of the Storm Raven, so it can start on the board, move over the small ruin. You can auto-advance it and give it Assault, I think, and then drop the Redemptor out. That can shoot. The Storm Raven can shoot. But yeah, it's going to be really fascinating, I think. Innes has got quite a lot of experience playing the Storm Raven as well, so maybe that had an influence.
Obviously, Innis is world class, so that's going to have an impact here. But you have to look at that and think that it has directly a bad matchup versus Eldar in this meta, which is really interesting, really brave of him. Because looking at the number of Eldari players, you could hit them for 3 rounds in this tournament.
Yeah, I think Necrons might be difficult potentially here as well. A lot of builds will be playing Silent King and Doomsday Arcs, and with a 4-up invulnerable save at 14 wounds, it's no guarantee that you chew through those, and they are kind of the strength 14, either flat 4 or flat 6 profile, which I think would be good against Redemptor Dreadnoughts here as well. So I'll be fascinating to see how Innes plays. He's also playing in the Invitational, so am I, and he's playing Grey Knights, and I assume he's playing the same build as last time here as well. But
am I right in saying Innes has a really tough time at LGT usually? Like, I feel like every time I think about Innocent LGT, he's always lost 2 games somewhere.
Well,
So,
I mean, to be fair, Innes and I both lost to just a terrible terrain format board. Both in the Shadow round, we both went to our tables and went, I mean, what even is this? And almost instantly lost. So last year he was playing GSC, I think, as well, which he had a very good shot at as well. But yeah, he has had a couple of LGTs where he struggled, I think. But I'm the same
maybe
as well.
this is the one. Maybe this is the one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Innes likes to be meta adjacent, right? I think he's that kind of player, right? He likes to play something that's a bit off the wall where players don't have the exposure to it, and he's good on it. And he can kind of play a list which no one's expecting. But yeah, I'm fascinated to see how he does because, I mean, a lot of people, Vic, are probably still playing Fouchane and Fire Dragons, right? I mean,
I think it's going to be 90% of the Eldar lists have that.
yeah, and I think that is good against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units in his list, which comprise 1,800 points. But anyway, yeah, we'll have to see how this does against World Eaters too. I mean, it's an interesting one, right? He has a lot of combined arms damage, so
How about the Black Templars, Dave? You run straight through that, yeah?
I think even with -1 damage, I do very well into that. Yeah,
Yeah, you're out. It's if the output is high enough to get through it. I think that's where it's going to have a challenge.
I have a lot of damage 1 as well, so I can kill Redemptors. I think a Grimaldus Brick with, like, you know, a lot of chainsword attacks can with +2 AP potentially will just down a Redemptor Dreadnought. But I'm just not convinced that. And for example, I can fight on death, so I can fight on death into Bobby G or Calgar. That's no problem at all, happily. And I just don't think Redemptor Dreadnoughts and Storm Ravens pick up my melee squads, right? And
Yeah, I'm so excited actually to watch your deep dive on your list because I think Black Templars are so cool, and the output is extreme from the characters. Are you doing that on the members side, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to do a straight up deep dive on it as well.
Yeah, I think I'll do it for my Eldar list as well on the members side.
So, I mean, Ennis Wilson deciding to play Space Marines, I think that's super cool. I mean, obviously he's played Space Marines before, but I think it's really cool that he's coming to play Space Marines. And I think I think Space Marines are in such a healthy condition right now, right? We've got like Raven Guard, Black Templars, Space Wolves, Ultramarines. I think I would love for someone to post down below. Yeah, Blood Angels.
Salamanders are good as well.
Yeah, Salamanders. I would love for someone to post down below if they know what the breakdown is, especially within the bigger faction and Dark Angels. Because we never talk about Dark Angels. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, they're at a solid A tier, not OP, and there's so many builds. But, I mean, talking about OP, maybe Raven Guard, Shadowmark,
Dude,
Nassim. Yeah.
This is the army that I really want to play.
You want to play this one, really?
Dude, this is me.
Oh, you want to play with this army?
I want to play with it.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is my kind of army. I absolutely love it. Yeah. It's like proper, got a mixture of output, really cool characters, loads of tricks, and long range deep strike output. I love it. So I think this is extremely strong. Obviously, in LGT, we are playing without +1 to wound from Oath for Raven Guard. I know Crucible, the one that John Lennon won with Shadowmark, they were playing with +1 to wound with Oath. I don't think it matters. I think this army is just so strong regardless. The combination of everything here is beautiful. Turn 1 rapid ingress with one of these 10 Vanguard veterans. You've got loads of play with the Inceptors coming in with their 6-inch deep strike, which is the same as kind of the Vanguard detachment. And you've got your uppy downy Centurion Devastators. You've got incredible characters in both Cave and Shrike and Eighth and Shan. I think this is just, and the Combi Lieutenant, they all kind of bounce and cover each other really nicely. What do you think, Dave?
I think I can beat this. No.
Easy.
I think it's I mean, this was what I was going to play if I didn't play Black Templars. I thought this was one of the strongest builds in the game. I would probably play 10 Vanguard Vets with Inferno pistols alongside 10 with Storm Shield. A little minor thing there, but I love the addition of the Incursors. I think that's fantastic. That makes it so your Center and Devastators can hit on 2s rolling 1s. Cool. And your Inceptors can hit on 2s with no rerolls, which makes them a lot more consistent and gives you a scout move unit. I mean, the reason I didn't go with Raven Guard was because I felt like I didn't have the reps on it, and I thought that maybe World Eaters would be a bit of a tough matchup. Some of these matchups that can rush you. I'm not sure how this list performs if you go second, personally. if you go second into a list that doesn't mind just jamming you with a lot of stuff, then I think maybe that's how you could be in trouble. Especially if you start your 6 Centurions on the off the board as well, which maybe you want to do here as well. So it's an interesting one. I mean, it's very, very, very strong, and the drop turn is very, very good. 6/3/3 Inceptors, and then 6 and 3 Centurions that will probably shoot you from long range, and then 10, maybe 20 Vanguard Vets that'll be up in your face. So you don't really have the potential to kill all the Centurions because you're dealing with so much in your face, and that means your Centurions will probably pick up and drop again, which is usually game over. Like, if you shoot Centurions and you split them 3 ways twice, it's pretty hard to come back from that. Their damage is absolutely insane.
As an Eldar player, this is a hard counter. I think this isn't even worth trying to tech for, personally, because if you try and screen aggressively on everything, you're just going to lose your screen and get hit the next turn. You can't really play very properly against the turn 1 rapid ingress. This is just an awful matchup for Eldar, but I mean, I'm thinking about players like yourself, Dave, with Black Templars, World Eaters players, even, Liam with his Chaos Space Marine list. I'm looking at it and thinking, you know what? I'm not sure the Shadowmark have the advantage in any of those melee pressure-y kind of matchups.
I certainly don't think it auto wins. Like, I've put quite a bit of time into thinking about this matchup, and there's actually quite a few lose conditions for the Raven Guard list. I think at the way that I see it, which is quite big, is their melee profiles are completely fake. Like, 10 Vanguard Vets without +1 to wound and a character don't do anywhere near as much damage as they should for their points cost. Like, that's like 270 points. That does not hit very hard. Like, I'm just sorry. Like, that doesn't do any damage to a Repulsed Executioner.
Kills Eldar.
Okay, kills Eldar, yeah. But it kills, like, 1 unit, right? Like, for example, and if you fight with, like, Banshees or Heroic with Janezar, you can position out the character. I mean, the Inceptors are obviously quite hard to deal with, but they're still reasonably expensive. And I think this list is very vulnerable to drop turn, to whiffing, basically. I think at a lot of times you're going to be relying on your scent devs to go through on a target, which if they're maybe smoked or they don't have +1 to wound, so Repex, they just wound on 4s with Twin Linked, maybe that doesn't always happen. And that's the condition I see, and maybe fight on death is quite hard for this army. In a game, but we'll have to see. I think the list is extremely powerful, don't get me wrong, and not a lot of people have played into it or played with it, so I think that's going to be a really big positive point here as well.
It's going to catch some people out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Very fast, and overall the melee's a bit anemic, but it is a shooting army, basically, is the way I see it. Alrighty, why don't we go with Orks?
Oh, Brian's in. He's got Gaz with the 20 boys. It's happening.
Gaz with the 20 boys. Obviously, this is a change that happened in the recent balanced data slate here as well, right?
Yes.
And I think this is quite a big change for Gaz.
He didn't go for any of the commandos that split or anything like that. His list... Oh, he's got a lot of flash kits. His list is kind of like... when you read it, it kind of feels like what he did so well at LGT. Was it last year or the year before?
Yes, last year, yep.
Last year, yeah. And he got straight to the finals, didn't he, with Warhorde? Yep. So, yeah, no, what do you think, Dave? Do you know any of the tech in here? The battle wagons? What's the play?
Yeah, so the battle wagons are quite good against... I mean, they're quite good against Emperor's Children, and they're good against combat matchups for sure, I think, right? So they allow Gaz and 20 boys to go inside, so I take it 1 battle wagon's mandatory there. However, you can start Gaz on the board in some matchups too, where you can give them like +6 to charge, I think, overall. Something like that. The strat's +2/+2, so it's minimum +4. So that's really powerful. So maybe a bit I think that's an anti-combat matchup. We'll tech there. So you can start Gaz in the battle wagon, move him out, turn 1, and then you can put the flash kits inside the battle wagon, move the battle wagon, disembark the flash kits, shoot, and then overwatch with them as well on top of that, or just advance and shoot them and disembark them. Flash kits are actually pretty good profile points-wise overall. They don't have a lot of AP, but they have pretty good melee, actually. I think they have like 4 attacks at 6/1/1 each.
They're big boys with choppers, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So they're pretty good all-rounders. So I think that's why Brian's gone for something like this. They're a good all-round unit that have a respectable melee profile, and they're just 10 guys as well on top of that. So I think when you put this on the table, it'll look like a lot of stuff, I think.
It's a lot of units, isn't it, actually, when you look at it? Like, units, each one hits pretty hard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think the big mech can go with Gaz and the boys because they can double join, and that can move over units that your opponent has. So it's very difficult to move block them, basically. So you can't move block them around an L, for example. And that's kind of what I think Brian was going for with that. But yeah, it's fascinating to see Orks. I'm really interested to see how Brian does. Is the meta going to line up great for it? Well, I think Flash gets are pretty good against World Eaters, that's for sure. You've got a whole bunch of damage to AP1 shooting, and you don't really mind if they blood surge into you, I would think. Because they can blood surge into a battle wagon, for example, right? So I think that's a great meta pick for Brian right there. How it would do into maybe some of the Knight builds, I'm a little bit interested in, and maybe some of the Marine builds that have Armor of Contempt can be quite good against Flash gets at AP1, and if you've got cover, just AP0 there.
Sure. So are we saying something like Innes's list might work well against this? Something like Naz's list maybe would as well, or wouldn't?
I think that Nassim's list should be quite good against this, but it would be very vulnerable to going second, I would say. The boys do have the -1 to wound stratagem, which is quite good. However, Centurion Devastator's 6-man has Blast. So they basically one-tap any 20-man squad in the game, which is a bit tough. But they are going to be wounding on 4s with the missiles. So 4s, and you take a 5-up. That's an interesting one. Maybe you get Gaz alive through it all, who's going to do a lot of the damage there. So, but I mean, that's going to be in a battle wagon. And I think a battle wagon is quite difficult for Centurion Devastators to actually kill.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that's a given. I think battle wagons are T12, potentially.
Okay.
So, and they have Armor of Contempt built in there as well. So that can potentially be difficult. And the Raven Guard list doesn't have a lot of move blocking. It doesn't have a lot of chaff, right? So where you would want to play against these lists like that, it doesn't really have a lot of that access there. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. And like I think there's so much player skill involved in the meta right now that I don't think it's really going to matter that much, personally. These guys are pretty hard to kill when you're shooting them because of the -1 to wound strat on the boys. So if you've just got like an average amount of shooting, you're not going to get through Gaz and 20 boys, I think.
I think Brian's done the right thing here. He's stuck to an army where he is the ultimate war boss at. And it's an army that actually legitimately can play anything in the meta. I don't think it necessarily has a hard counter in the meta.
I would be a little worried about going second potentially here on some of these UKTC boards with 2 battle wagons. That could be something I think Brian's probably thinking about in the background here. Mainly because they are quite large and there are armies out there that can kill them for sure.
I wonder if there are any armies that can move block them for the whole game.
Well, Eldar could definitely move block the battle wagons, but you can still disembark and move over your models. That's the big mech.
With the big mech,
Yes,
of
but
course.
You can move block it twice, obviously. So
I'm always teasing Brian, saying that Orks beat nothing, and I will always beat Orks. But I just know this is going to be the tournament where he absolutely demolishes me.
I mean, Breaker Boy is a great anti-vehicle, anti-monster, so it's a pretty all-round list, I think, this one.
Yeah,
Nice.
great list.
Great to see Orks coming back in, and actually more popular than I thought at 3.3%.
So we've had the war boss of the Orks. What about the next one, Dave?
The Archon, Skari.
The Archon of Drukhari.
Now, I don't know anything about Drukhari.
Dude, okay,
So
this is Reaper's Wager. This is not the Codex, this is the Index. And I love this list. So Reaper's Wager is you get reroll 1s to hit with anything. But then if you are losing the wager, which is between Harlequins and Drukhari, you also get reroll 1s to wound. And if a Harlequin unit kills something, the Drukhari start losing the bet. They get the reroll 1s to wound. And then it just keeps bouncing between them. So most of the time, you don't actually include any Harlequin units. Because they're kind of a little bit inefficient and awkward. But the one Harlequin unit, which I absolutely love in Reaper's Wager, is the Solitaire. The Solitaire is legitimately good when they have reroll 1s to hit. And then being able to flip the wager over for the Drukhari units to kind of get their buffs is great. Skari's gone one step further and included a Void Weaver, which can also allow in the shooting phase for you to flip things as well. I think he's worked on this list slowly over time. And out of all of the lists that I've seen him bring, this is the one I like the most. I think he's done such a good job of getting every single tool into this list and it just being perfectly balanced. He had one big brick of 10 Hellions. He split it into 2 times 5. He has the Reavers, which are excellent, really cheap, some Scourge. He's got a little bit of combat, lots of fight first. The one thing that is missing in this list is that he doesn't have the Court of the Archon. That
Oh, okay.
that's the one thing which I think would just be perfect in this list. And I would even argue that there's an argument for double Court of the Archon
Wow.
at the moment.
That's the one that has a lot of anti-infantry and like really tanky, right?
Yeah, so you
Okay.
basically get your core to the Archon, which is 4 models, and
Mhm.
attach an Archon to it, who can
Mm.
also be attached to a unit of Kabalite warriors, which could be split. So you could have
Okay.
5 Kabalite warriors, your core to the Archon, and your Archon. And that gives you a fight first unit, which has lots of melee attacks, really good guns. When you use a pain token, you're rerolling to hit and wound.
Sick.
So it's a really high output fight first unit that is versatile into a lot of targets.
Mm.
I think that's excellent in this meta, excellent on UKTC to have long range shooting. Obviously, this is Skari. Skari is a man, if you watch any of his battle reports, who plays the game. He doesn't just play like models shooting other models. He's always got one eye on the point score in the game.
He
And
plays the game.
he plays the game. So that's how he wins so many games, because his eye is always on, how am I possibly going to win this game? And the only way you win the game is not necessarily by killing your opponent. It's by winning on the points. That is your win condition. And he always finds a way to find it, which is why he's so prolific with any army he plays. Drukhari just happened to be the one he chose.
Nice. Skari's actually in my pod for the Invitational, and I'm
Oh
playing the
my
exact same list.
gosh.
I take it Skari's probably playing the exact same list.
Mhm.
So what does this stuff actually do? The Beastmaster is just a lone character, right?
No, so the Beastmaster is the Beast Pack.
Oh,
And the Beast Pack has like 8 models, 7 or 8 models,
Oh.
with a varying wound count in it. It scouts 9 and moves 12. So it's a very good early game piece for essentially the Beast Pack jail, which is where
Ooh.
you kind of trap your opponent and you skirmish with them early game. You basically are able to interact in the first round of the game really, really nicely.
Wow, okay.
Very good unit. So
Nice.
he used to run 2 of them. He's now running 1 of them.
Okay.
Draz just goes with some Incubite and just hits hard.
Okay.
Lilith is fight first with some witches.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
know that one.
and Urian is a solo character most
He's the
of the
hard
time.
to kill one, right? The 4-up no pain gets back up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And he gets back up one. So he's a great solo piece that just runs around doing nonsense.
And so
And
what does the Archon join here? Is the Archon just solo for the Victora here?
yeah, so Archon, you always take an Archon because the
Yeah.
Vector is so powerful. You can join the Kabalite warriors here and give them reroll wounds, hit and wound. And you basically jump out of the venom, shoot with your reroll hits and wounds, and jump back into the venom. You can also play him solo and just use him for his Vectora, but you kind of lose your use of the reroll hits and wounds.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. Damn, so pretty versatile. I mean, this list, I think he's running the Scourges with 1 Dark Lance and 1 Haywire as well.
Sure,
So
yeah.
it's a really incredibly all-round list. And, Mandrakes actually have good shooting as well, I've learned.
Yeah.
And, he's not going to be... what's interesting is that with the advent, or the disadvent of Challenger cards, I think this archetype has gotten a lot better, right? Because he can play the secondaries with so many units really, really well and contest objectives really, really well. So I actually think he's got a really good time scoring points high here, which isn't the point for LGT, but that's a good game plan in general, obviously. Just playing the points, scoring secondaries. I mean, Mandrakes, Reavers, Mandrakes and Reavers are obviously fantastic at that. And then Hellions are really good at that as well, and maybe that's why he split them up. Yeah.
Because of the speed of the army and the fact that it does have fight first in it, means it's very hard to pressure. The output is really good when stuff is really close to it, because it then is able to like combine a lot of output, which is when the output actually feels high. So that means that this army is always going to be scoring a lot of points. The key to winning against stuff like
how do I beat
Drukhari
this?
here?
Come on, give me the
Okay,
tips.
okay, Dave. So the key is you need to just get ahead on the momentum, because if this game goes for 5 turns, you're probably not winning against Drukhari. You need to get ahead of the momentum so that the game ends on turn 4. Everything is dead on turn 4. You need to kind of create that situation, engineer that situation.
Transports must be pretty good against this, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, fine. I mean, Skari's a lot like Liam, I think, where he'll shoot like a bolt pistol and 2 guns and everything will die, is how it feels. When you play against really great players, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those. So, yeah.
Damn.
You got to be on top of your game, mate.
Bro,
you want to win that one.
I gotta try to get off Path of Exile 2 and start practicing if I'm gonna do well in this invitation, obviously. It's alright, my hardcore character just died. I'm back onto 40k.
Okay.
Alright, that was 5 lists. I mean, we're gonna make a tough prediction here, but What do you... okay, Vic. What do you think is going to be the most underdog faction here? And who do you think has the best chance at winning the overall title this year?
Okay. You need luck to win a tournament of this level. But we've found that, the best players rise to the top when the tournament is this long. This is a perfect meta where there's very few hard counters to things. So it's going to be about player skill. It's going to be about that tiny little bit of luck to get you through. And my vote here, so I'm going to go with who I think is going to win. I think Nassim, this is his time.
Okay.
He's always second place, but this time he's going to come first. He's got his Shadowmark. He's told me they beat everything. He loses to nothing. And I promised him I'll beat all the World Eater players so he can take this all the way. So I think Nassim, and I think the army, which is going to do better than we think. I'm going to agree with you, Dave. I think AdMech are going to come out with a way higher win rate this time than they have previously.
Yeah, I can see AdMech being in multiple places. I think I can see us having 2 AdMech in the top 8, genuinely, with such a low percentage. So I think AdMech would be the pick for me. And I'm going to do a cop-out. I'm going to say an Ignite player is going to win the event. Which diversifies my picks a lot between
too easy.
Vic, Liam, or Brian, I think. So I can see you doing really well on this one, Vic. I remember LGT a while back. You had the Emperor's Children, right? And
dude, yeah, I've had a really good run in LGT. In the last 3 years, I've hit the top 4 twice. So it's been a good run.
I think you've got a great shot in this one this year. I think some of these lists, I actually think the Raven Guard matchups are nowhere near as bad as it seems. And I think that the way I see it, that particular player combo matchup has got more chance of losing to something else than you've got of hitting it, right?
Oh, true.
So okay. I think that's the way I kind of look at it, stuff like this as well. I think it can be a bit of a trap sometimes to be like, oh, this player's on that, I'm never going to do something because I'll hit them, you know what I mean? But like, stuff always happens. It's a massive tournament, Stuff always happens every single year. Some player loses to this, some player loses to that.
You remember that tournament I got paired into Ben Jones on the Mordaka? To the Inari. Yeah. Dude, I didn't give up. I just kept going. And then somehow, before you know it, I'd actually managed to win the game. So, even when the odds are really stacked against you on matchup, there's always a chance.
There we go. So I'm going to cop out my 3, which would be Liam, you, or Brian. I think it's got what it takes to take this home. We had an Ignite final last year. I would love to see, obviously.
Wait, I thought we couldn't pick either of us.
We couldn't pick multiple?
This isn't fair.
You obviously can't pick me. I'm definitely not going to win.
Dude, I'm 100% picking you.
No.
Who is Nassim anyway? I'm picking Dave. Dave, you're going all the way. I'm not even joking. If we weren't on this podcast and I had my own podcast, Vic Side, the Vic side is picking Dave, because Dave, you have the army, you got the experience, and this is your time to shine. You got this, bro.
I'm just gonna play one game at a time, man. And have fun. I am a little bit worried. I'll be honest with you. On my list, the one thing I'm really worried about is making some charges. So I was actually kind of glad to see the meta come out a little bit more melee orientated, because I think that my army's actually really good in those kind of melee matchups. And I think Gladius is definitely an army which can punish people when they make mistakes. That's kind of what I've learned over playing this, and I've got a good amount of reps in this now. But I am just worried about needing to out-OC my opponent on the objective on turn 1, needing to roll a 6, failing it, right? Or needing to roll some advances on my thing and then failing it with the charges. So, I'm hoping I can hit some armies that are just combined arms like myself on some of those, search and destroy boards maybe or something. But, I don't think...
It's the reach, isn't it?
LGT is not my tournament, man. It's not my tournament. I fucking lost to Alexander Seko when I had 18 Leviathan Warriors. That was my time.
Ouch.
And then I lost to Lewis, of course, as well. I think Lewis could do quite well on Tau here as well.
I hope so.
We'll have him on tomorrow night. And
some wicked firing lanes. Firing lanes, yeah.
So I think anyone could really take it here. But I think Eldar is in a really good spot as well.
Nice.
And I think if you just players on armies they're comfortable with, I think is the way I would vote personally.
Yeah. Dude, I'm on a 25 game win streak at tournaments with the Eldar.
Dude, it's time to make that 34.
It's time. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Let us know down in the comments who you think is going to win. That'd be awesome to see. Or just give a thumbs up if someone else has mentioned it. I would love to see what people think. Or if they think what army would win it. I think that's super fascinating as well. It's a good time to be playing Warhammer, to be honest with you. And I'm excited next weekend to go and play. I've been painting up my Black Templars a lot. Oh. And I'm happy. I was going to play Guard for the Invitational. But I'm happy that I went with Black Templars because I can just really focus on painting them a lot as well. And then I can play the Invitational, get some practice, go to the main event on top of that as well. And I'll be covering the Invitational pods later on there as well because there's a lot of good players there.
God, it's so content-wise. You're going to do... who are you doing the deep dive on? Lewis and...
Lewis and Brian because we're team Bermondsey. So they live just down the road. So they're going to come on and talk about their Orks and their Tau. I'll do something about the Invitational because the lists haven't been revealed yet. And then, we'll probably have
We've got our army deep dives, haven't we?
Yeah, our army deep dives in the member section. I did like a little bit of an investigation into the maps on the member side as well. You can check it out. And, I think both Vic and I are playing something very close to what we played in our masterclasses as well. So it just goes to show you, I think I'm playing one unit swapped out. So.
Yeah, I same. I've just kind of tweaked one unit to accommodate for the meta and for the terrain format. Obviously on the Discord, I shared it. I always share my lists on the Discord and we kind of discuss it there. So make sure you join us and you can talk about our lists with us.
Hell yeah. That's been another episode, the LGT. Who will win it? We will find out come Monday. The biggest tournament in the world. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Awesome. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, join the membership, check out our Fireside merchandise on Fat Dwarf. And as always, see you all next time by the Fireside.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the 40k Fireside. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, drop us a comment, check out the YouTube members area, and we look forward to seeing you again next time by the Fireside.